In some regards, especially coming from the culture that we come from, he's a failure to have lost all his marriages.
Mortgage fraud. Two words that could drag Kody and Robyn Brown from their comfortable Flagstaff mansion straight into a federal courtroom. This bombshell has exploded across the sister wives fandom like a grenade, and the fallout is still rippling through every corner of the internet. After years of secrecy, carefully controlled narratives, and a family structure that seemed to bend rules whenever convenient, the Browns are now facing scrutiny they never expected. And the person who allegedly struck the match? None other than Meri Brown, the original legal wife who spent decades being sidelined, diminished, and treated as little more than an afterthought by the very people now scrambling to contain the chaos. Sources close to the situation describe the atmosphere between Kody and Robyn as utterly toxic. One insider put it plainly: they are in full panic mode, pointing fingers at everyone except themselves. The allegations surrounding their Flagstaff property dealings are not minor errors or harmless misunderstandings. We are talking about potential misrepresentation of marital status on mortgage documents, questionable income declarations, and the exploitation of legal gray areas tied to their unconventional family structure, actions that could be interpreted as federal offenses. Take a moment to let that sink in. The very family that built their brand on transparency, claiming to show the world the real lives of a plural family, may have been concealing financial practices that stretch back years. The irony is almost unbearable. Kody Brown has spent over a decade lecturing viewers about his lifestyle, defending polygamy, and positioning himself as the devoted patriarch of a united household. Yet behind the scenes, the same structure may have been used as a strategic tool for financial advantage, in a way that would make any lender's jaw drop. Because here is the reality: you cannot present yourself as single on legal paperwork while allegedly pooling income from multiple partners to secure loans and properties you would not otherwise qualify for. That is not clever accounting. That is fraud. What makes this situation even more explosive is the alleged paper trail. Sister Wives fans, and let's be honest, some of them are more thorough than private investigators, have spent years tracking the Browns' every move. Recently, they've been digging through public property records in Flagstaff, and what they claim to have uncovered is deeply unsettling. Multiple purchases, questionable circumstances, and documentation that appears to raise serious red flags. Some fan investigators have pointed out that the records tell a story that contradicts what the family has publicly presented about their finances. However, to understand how severe these allegations could become, we need context because this scandal did not appear overnight. Pieces have reportedly been falling into place for months, and Meri's role in accelerating the exposure adds an extra layer of betrayal that has allegedly sent Robyn into what insiders call a full-blown emotional spiral. And the biggest question remains: did Meri know exactly what she was doing? Or did she unintentionally unleash a chain reaction that is now threatening the entire family? Because depending on the answer, it could change everything. Details of the allegations explain Sister Wives fans were never passive viewers. From the earliest seasons, many suspected something about the Browns' finances did not add up. How does a family of this size, with one husband and several households, afford large homes across multiple states? How do they manage major moves, weddings, and the lifestyle shown on camera without some form of creative financial maneuvering? Those doubts have simmered for over a decade, but now they appear to be resurfacing with receipts. The Brown family's legal setup has always existed in a carefully protected gray zone. For years, Kody was legally married to Meri, making her the only wife with official legal status. Janelle, Christine, and later Robyn were spiritual wives with no legal recognition. And that arrangement wasn't accidental, it was strategic. By keeping only one legal marriage at a time, the family could navigate certain financial systems more easily, including benefits, taxes, and, yes, potentially mortgage eligibility. One former associate allegedly described it as a structure designed to maximize financial gain while minimizing accountability. Then, in 2014, Kody divorced Meri and legally married Robyn. The public explanation was to enable the adoption of Robyn's children from a previous marriage. While that satisfied casual viewers, many fans noticed something else. The legal switch also transferred the financial and legal advantages of being Kody's official wife to Robyn. Suddenly, Robyn had access to protections, property rights, and financial tools the other wives did not. What was framed as Mary's sacrifice may have been far more calculated than audiences were led to believe. The Flagstaff era marked a major escalation in property dealings. After leaving Las Vegas, the family purchased land at Coyote Pass and began buying individual homes. The transactions happened quickly and the price tags were substantial, yet the income streams supporting them remained vague. Fans immediately questioned the logic. How could Kody and Robyn afford a home approaching $900,000 if Kody's only visible income was the television show? Unless there were financial arrangements happening behind closed doors, the figures simply didn't make sense. And this is where the claims turn serious. Reports suggest mortgage applications may have included inaccurate declarations, such as misrepresenting marital status or household finances, while still benefiting from pooled resources. Income may have been inflated or described in ways that did not reflect reality. Mortgage professionals familiar with lending regulations state that this kind of situation can fall under textbook mortgage fraud. And lenders, if they believe they have been misled, can pursue action even years later. At this stage, the question isn't simply whether something improper occurred. The bigger question is, how deep does it go, and who is ultimately responsible? Mary's role in the exposure, and this brings us back to Meri Brown, a woman who spent 3 decades building a life with Kody, only to watch him shift his legal commitment to Robyn and gradually erase her place within the family. Her alleged role in exposing these financial dealings may not have been deliberate, but the timing and the circumstances suggest something far more complicated than coincidence. The exposure started quietly. Meri, still active on social media despite her estrangement, began posting remarks that fans first dismissed as ordinary post-separation bitterness. But in hindsight, many now believe she was leaving breadcrumbs, cryptic messages about truth coming to light, references to karma and accountability, subtle remarks about finances that seemed designed to provoke questions without revealing too much. Longtime followers now believe Meri was nudging people towards the very information that triggered today's allegations. Sources claim she may have provided details to certain individuals who then connected the dots using public records. Whether she directly shared documents, confirmed suspicions, or simply guided investigators towards the right trail is still unclear. But insiders suggest that without Mary's involvement, the links between these property transactions and the alleged irregularities might never have been exposed. One source close to Meri reportedly stated that she simply stopped protecting people who never protected her. And if you consider her history, the shift makes sense. After years of emotional neglect, humiliation, and being treated as expendable, Meri remained expected to contribute financially, while watching resources flow towards Robyn. The resentment did not build overnight. It accumulated quietly until something finally snapped. Whether it was one final incident or the slow weight of years of mistreatment, the outcome appears the same. Meri stopped staying silent. Fans have noticed the change in her tone over the past year. The posts that once felt resigned and sad have become sharper and more deliberate. And now, Kody and Robyn may be facing the consequences. She began liking comments from fans who openly criticized Kody and Robyn. She posted quotes about betrayal and consequences, the kind of words that feel innocent on the surface, yet carry unmistakable double meanings. One particularly telling post hinted that secrets have a way of becoming public, and that those who keep them should prepare for the fallout. At the time, many assumed she was referring to her own catfishing scandal from years ago. Now, that interpretation feels painfully naive, because the question of intent hangs over this entire situation like a storm cloud. Did Meri deliberately expose potential mortgage fraud to get revenge on the family that discarded her? Or did information slip out unintentionally, shared in moments where her guard was down and she didn't realize what she was unleashing? Those close to Meri appear divided. Some insist she would never intentionally land anyone in serious legal trouble, no matter how badly she was treated. Others argue that years of humiliation, neglect, and accumulated resentment pushed her to the edge, and that she knew exactly what she was doing when she stopped protecting people who never protected her. And let's be brutally honest for a moment. After everything Kody and Robyn put her through, would anyone really blame her if this wasn't an accident? What we do know is this. When Robyn received word that information connecting their property dealings had gone public, her reaction was immediate, visceral, and, according to those who witnessed it, completely unhinged. The woman who has spent years cultivating an image as the gentle, reasonable, peacekeeping wife reportedly showed a very different side the moment she realized what was at stake. Robyn's alleged meltdown, rage, panic, and damage control unhinged. That is the word insiders keep repeating when describing Robyn Brown's reaction after learning that potentially incriminating financial details had entered the public domain. Multiple sources paint a picture of a woman spiraling, rapidly cycling between rage, panic, and desperate attempts at damage control. One person, speaking to someone allegedly present during the initial fallout, described it as a meltdown unlike anything they had ever witnessed. The carefully constructed image of Robyn as calm, mature, and collected, it reportedly evaporated the moment her financial security was threatened. According to reports, Robyn's first instinct was to blame Kody. Insiders claim she accused him of dragging them into this mess through years of reckless financial decisions. She allegedly demanded to know why protections weren't put in place, why their vulnerability was allowed to grow, and why no one anticipated that a scorned ex-wife might eventually stop staying silent. The confrontation was reportedly explosive, with shouting loud enough for neighbors to hear and accusations severe enough to strike at the core of their marriage. And for a couple who have positioned themselves as the stable foundation while the rest of the family collapsed, that private chaos tells a very different story. But Robyn's fury, apparently, wasn't aimed at Kody alone. Sources suggest she attempted to contact Meri directly, though accounts differ on whether she managed to get through. Some reports claim there was a heated phone call in which Robyn allegedly accused Meri of deliberate sabotage and even threatened legal action. Others insist Meri refused contact entirely, leaving Robyn to spiral without the confrontation she was desperate to have. Either way, whatever was left of that relationship has crossed into a territory where reconciliation is no longer possible. The mask slips. Robyn's self-preservation on full display. What makes Robyn's alleged reaction so revealing is how sharply it contradicts the persona she spent years presenting on camera. She has always framed herself as the innocent party, the wife who tried to keep the peace, the woman who only wanted to love Kody and build a stable home. But when faced with the possibility of legal consequences, insiders claim the facade cracked instantly. Those close to the situation describe a woman consumed by self-preservation, more concerned with protecting assets than addressing whether the allegations have merit in the first place. One source claimed that not once did Robyn express worry about how this could impact the children or the wider family. It was about herself, and it was about Kody. The blame shifting towards Meri has reportedly been aggressive. According to private conversations shared by insiders, Robyn has allegedly told confidants that Meri is motivated by jealousy and spite. She has reportedly framed the exposure as an attack on her children's security, while conveniently ignoring the fact that if fraud occurred, the fraud itself is what created the instability. So let me translate that for you. Robyn appears more furious about being caught than about anything she may have done. A marriage under pressure. Financial fear turns into war. The spiral reportedly continued for weeks. Friends and family members claim Robyn has been swinging between fury and depression, increasingly isolating herself and trusting fewer people with information about the ongoing crisis. Her social media presence has noticeably dropped, suggesting she understands that anything she posts could be analyzed, scrutinized, and potentially used against her. The wife who once seemed certain she had won and secured her position as Kody's only remaining partner, now reportedly appears to be questioning everything, including whether that position was ever as secure as she believed. And here is the reality. Kody and Robyn's marriage has been simmering under pressure for years, but these allegations reportedly turned that heat up to unbearable levels. Sources describe a household thick with tension, where financial stress has fused with legal fear, creating a toxic atmosphere that seeps into every interaction. The couple viewers watched when Kody's loyalty is now reportedly discovering that their prize may come with potential fraud charges attached. Money issues have always haunted the Brown family. Throughout Sister Wives, financial stress was practically a recurring character in its own right, from the chaotic move out of Las Vegas to Coyote Pass to constantly shifting resources between households. But those problems, while serious, did not carry the threat of prison. This situation does. Legal professionals who have reviewed public information have suggested that if fraud were proven, both Kody and Robyn could face severe consequences. And that kind of existential threat changes everything in a relationship. Insiders report that their arguments have become increasingly bitter, with each of them trying to establish who bears primary responsibility. Robyn allegedly insists she trusted Kody to handle financial matters correctly and should not be held accountable for his decisions. Kody reportedly counters that Robyn was a full participant in these purchases and cannot now claim ignorance. The blame game has reportedly reached a point where productive conversation is impossible. One source described it as two people trying to position themselves as the primary victim, while preparing to throw the other under the bus if necessary. What did Robyn know, and when? Fan theories have exploded across social media. Some believe Robyn was kept in the dark by Kody, unaware of the details behind mortgage applications and income declarations. Others argue her business experience and involvement in family decisions makes it impossible she didn't understand what was happening. The truth? It likely falls somewhere in the middle, with a strong possibility that willful ignorance played a role. And as any solicitor will tell you, not asking questions you don't want answered is not legal protection. The fallout becomes visible. The strain is reportedly becoming noticeable even to casual observers. Their rare public appearances suggest increased tension in body language. Their once coordinated social media presence appears fractured. Friends claim Robyn has made vague comments, suggesting she regrets certain decisions, without specifying which ones. The fairy tale ending she fought for, becoming Kody's legal wife and last woman standing, now reportedly feels less like a victory and more like the opening scene of a nightmare. Let that sink in. She fought to be the final wife, and now that position may lead her to sharing a defense attorney with the man who promised her everything. Christine thrives while Kody and Robyn spiral. What makes all of this even more striking is the contrast between where Kody and Robyn expected to be and where they allegedly are now. They imagined a peaceful future, free from sister-wife drama, focused on their children, their marriage, and their new beginning. Instead, they are reportedly consulting lawyers, digging through old paperwork, and preparing for possibilities that could include criminal investigation. And fans have not missed the irony. The wives Kody discarded may walk away untouched, while the wife he chose faces the consequences.
Christine Brown is thriving.
And the visual contrast is undeniable. Since leaving Kody, Christine has launched successful ventures, found a loving relationship, strengthened her connection with her children, and radiated the kind of happiness that comes from escaping something suffocating. Her social media is full of genuine smiles, family moments, and the unmistakable energy of a woman living her best life. Meanwhile, as these allegations swirl around her ex-husband and his favored wife, Christine's silence is almost louder than words. Sources close to Christine claim she has followed developments with what one friend described as vindicated fascination, especially after years of feeling undervalued, financially pressured, and emotionally dismissed. Watching Kody and Robyn potentially face accountability for their financial arrangements reportedly feels like cosmic justice. Janelle's response. Quiet, calculated, and legally smart Janelle Brown's reaction has reportedly been more measured, but no less telling. The former wife, known for being deeply involved in the family's finances, has allegedly distanced herself entirely from any connection to the Flagstaff property dealings. Sources say she has consulted legal counsel to ensure that financial decisions made during her marriage cannot create liability for her going forward. One insider described Janelle as very careful to establish she had no role in these specific transactions and no knowledge of any irregularities. And that has sparked an even bigger discussion. Could Christine or Janelle face legal exposure from the family's financial past? Legal analysts suggest that unless they were signatories on the applications, co-borrowers, or directly involved in misrepresentation, their liability would likely be minimal. Ironically, the very spiritual wife arrangement that once disadvantaged them may now protect them. They were not legal spouses, not formal co-signers, not tied to Kody in ways that would make them responsible for his financial dealings. The marginalization they suffered may now act as a legal shield. And fans have already noticed the social media evidence of the ex-wives keeping their distance. Neither Christine nor Janelle has publicly addressed the fraud allegations, but their silence isn't accidental. It is strategic. They have stopped engaging with posts about Kody and Robyn altogether. Old photos featuring the couple have quietly disappeared, and both women now carry themselves as though that chapter of their lives is firmly closed, sealed, and buried. Friends say Christine and Janelle are focused exclusively on their own futures, with zero interest in being dragged back into Brown family scandal, not even as spectators. And the contrast could not be more striking. Christine and Janelle were once criticized for leaving, accused by some of abandoning family responsibilities. But instead of running from responsibility, it now looks like they escaped something far worse, a financial house of cards allegedly built on shaky foundations and potential fraud. The women who walked away are free and thriving. The wife who stayed, consolidated, and reportedly maneuvered for control may now be staring down serious consequences. Sometimes the universe delivers exactly what people deserve. And longtime Sister Wives viewers are watching this possible karma unfold with absolutely no attempt to hide their satisfaction. Fans turn investigators. The Brown family under a microscope. If there is one thing Sister Wives fans excel at beyond loyal viewership, it's investigation. These are not casual observers reading headlines and moving on. These are dedicated researchers who have spent years documenting every property purchase, cross-referencing public records, analyzing social media for clues, and building timelines detailed enough to rival professional case files. So when the fraud allegations started circulating, the fandom didn't need to catch up. They were already prepared. The investigation gained momentum inside Reddit communities and Facebook groups devoted entirely to Sister Wives analysis. People began sharing property records from Coconino County, highlighting purchase prices, listed owners, and the timing of transactions that appeared, at the very least, questionable. Mortgage details are not always fully public, but enough information is often available to raise eyebrows. And in this case, fans say the numbers immediately looked suspicious. One particularly meticulous investigator even compiled a spreadsheet comparing what the Browns had publicly claimed about finances against the value of the properties being purchased, calling it an impossible equation. And the uncomfortable truth is it made sense. Crowdsourced evidence and a growing paper trail the results of the crowd investigation have been genuinely impressive. Fans have flagged discrepancies between what the Browns claimed on camera about their living arrangements and what official records suggested. They noted purchases that appeared structured in ways that could obscure ownership. They spotted refinancing patterns that, according to mortgage professionals online, can sometimes signal attempts to extract equity quickly. One investigator, who claimed to work in mortgage lending, said bluntly, "If even half of what the paperwork suggests is accurate, the violations are serious enough that lenders would not ignore them." Online communities have essentially become organized archives. Screenshots of key social media posts are saved before they can be deleted. Property transfer documents are downloaded and reshared. Interviews and podcast appearances are transcribed, then analyzed line by line. Inconsistencies are tracked like evidence, not gossip. Some communities have even built wikis dedicated to documenting every known financial transaction tied to the family. And according to the most dedicated investigators, they've barely scratched the surface. Could fan pressure lead to a real investigation? This is where things become truly unsettling. Ordinary citizens can't press charges, but they can absolutely file complaints and submit tips to relevant authorities. And multiple reports suggest that fans have done exactly that, allegedly contacting the FBI's mortgage fraud tip line, Arizona regulators, and even the lending institutions involved in the property purchases. Whether these agencies will act remains unclear. But if a formal investigator ever takes interest, the volume of publicly available material, neatly gathered, documented, and organized by the fandom, could make the process significantly easier. And that reflects a broader cultural shift in reality television. Audiences no longer simply watch. They participate. The Browns built their brand on transparency, inviting cameras into their homes and asking the public to accept their narrative at face value. Now that very public is using the information they were given to build a completely different story, one the Browns never intended to tell. What Kody and Robyn could be facing, let's be brutally clear about the stakes here. Mortgage fraud is not a minor offense resolved with a slap on the wrist. It is a federal crime, and prosecutors treat it seriously, especially when large property values and alleged patterns of deception are involved. If the allegations prove accurate, the consequences could reshape Kody and Robyn's lives in ways reality television fame will not protect them from. Mortgage fraud charges can come with severe penalties, including significant prison sentences and substantial fines. Even if maximum penalties aren't applied, the reality of legal exposure alone would be devastating. Civil consequences may also include loss of property, forced restitution, and financial damage that can last a lifetime. This isn't fear-mongering. These are outcomes regularly seen in cases that reach prosecution. And when people bring up comparable celebrity cases, it adds a chilling layer of context. Reality TV fame has never been a shield. If anything, it increases scrutiny because prosecutors know high-profile cases make examples. TLC's involvement could add another layer of chaos. TLC's role in the Browns' finances could also complicate everything. Networks often structure payments through contracts, production agreements, advances, bonuses, and other financial arrangements that can blur the lines between personal income and production-related expenses. If network income was misrepresented on mortgage applications, whether overstated to qualify for loans or understated to appear financially weaker, it could create legal exposure that extends beyond the couple themselves. And that gives TLC every incentive to distance itself quickly. Because no network wants to be dragged into legal proceedings that could expose financial agreements, production deals, and internal contract details. Especially not when the show is already on shaky ground. The future of Sister Wives may be at risk. Sister Wives was already facing challenges before these allegations surfaced. The original premise, plural marriage dynamics, has collapsed. Multiple wives have left. The show's tension and storytelling shifted dramatically. And without the full family structure, viewer interest naturally changed. Now add a scandal of this magnitude, and it becomes a reputational risk. Reports suggest executives may be weighing whether continuing the program is worth the fallout. And here's the irony. The income stream Kody and Robyn have relied on may be threatened at the exact moment they would need it most to pay legal fees. Because even if charges are never filed, investigations are expensive. Defense costs can be staggering. The stress can last for years. And the public nature of their lives means every development would become headline material, not just for them, but for their children as well. The court of public opinion has already decided, and then there's the one courtroom that doesn't require evidence, procedure, or legal standards, the court of public opinion. Scroll through Sister Wives comment sections, fan forums, or social media discussions, and the verdict appears harsh and nearly unanimous. Kody and Robyn, the couple who presented themselves as the survivors of the family implosion, are now being viewed as the architects of its moral collapse. For years, they framed themselves as the reasonable ones, the stable ones, the ones holding everything together. Meanwhile, the other wives were often portrayed as difficult, disloyal, demanding, or dramatic. Now the narrative has reversed. Christine leaving looks like wisdom rather than abandonment. Janelle distancing herself seems prudent rather than cold. And Mary's suffering appears even more unjust, especially if she was financially contributing to a household allegedly built on deception. The irony would almost be poetic if it weren't so destructive. Be careful what you wish for. Robyn fought relentlessly to secure Kody's attention, pushing other wives to the margins while consolidating emotional, legal, and financial advantages for herself and her children. And she got exactly what she wanted. But that victory may now come with consequences the other wives will never face. She wanted to be the center of Kody's world. Now she may be the center of an investigation. Be careful what you wish for. Was Mary's exposure intentional or accidental? Viewers cannot stop debating one final question. Did Mary expose them on purpose? Was this a deliberate act after years of mistreatment? Or did information slip out in a way that only looks calculated in hindsight? The answer matters emotionally, but legally, it may not change the outcome. Because either way, the truth surfaced. Either way, the damage is done. And either way, Kody and Robyn must face what that truth reveals. What happens next? What comes next remains uncertain, but some outcomes feel inevitable. The Brown family, as audiences, once knew it is finished. The remaining relationship between Kody and Robyn may not survive the pressure. And the children across all marriages will live with the aftermath for years. Meanwhile, millions of viewers who invested years into this family story will watch the final chapters unfold with a kind of fascination that only real accountability can produce. So now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Mary knew exactly what she was doing? Or was this truly accidental? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this story is far from over, and the updates will keep coming as long as there is truth left to expose.